All you hear about is Solyndra, Solyndra, Solyndra. The solar industry has increased more than 600% since the stimulus passed. Now, wind, we had 25 gigawatts of wind in this country when Obama took office. The EIA, the energy forecast for the federal government, was predicting that we'd have 40 gigawatts by 2030. There were literally wind turbines rusting in the fields. A Spanish company called Abengoa had shut down all its US projects in Texas and Illinois because, as Nancy mentioned, there was no appetite for the tax credits. The day after the stimulus passed, the head of Abengoa announced that he was investing $6 billion in US projects. And in fact, today, instead of 40 gigawatts by 2030, it's now 2012, we already have 50 gigawatts. So we've already doubled our wind power. We've doubled overall renewables in this country. And you're seeing, as Nancy mentioned, some of these ARPA-E companies are already, I think a dozen of them have already raised follow-up venture capital. The loan guarantee program is financing the world's largest wind farm, a half dozen of the world's largest solar farms, the world's largest distributed solar project, America's first cellulosic biofuel refineries. So you're already starting to see, people say, where are the stimuluses icons, right? Where are the Grand Coulee Dam or the Skyline Drive? Well, go out into the desert and you look at Ivanpah. You can really see some of these icons.
Ivanpah being a large solar installation in the Mojave Desert. We're discussing clean energy with Michael Grunwald, senior national correspondent for Time Magazine, and Nancy Pfund from DBL Investors. I'm Greg Dalton. If this is so successful, why do more Americans believe Elvis is alive than the stimulus was a success?
Well, I do think the message got away early, and I think part of this is it's very tough to sell a jobs bill at a time when jobs are disappearing, and there was no stimulus that could have turned things around fast enough to brag about it. Double-digit unemployment is really hard to sell, and particularly, Keynesian stimulus in general, even though in the economics field it's uncontroversial and every Republican and Democratic candidate had supported a big Keynesian stimulus in 2008. Mitt Romney had the largest plan. The House Republicans had voted for a $715 billion stimulus, including Paul Ryan. This was apparently good public policy, while Obama's $787 billion stimulus that was almost identical was Sharia socialism. But look, it's a tough sell to make because this is a time when families and businesses are tightening their belts, where you've just explained that we got into this mess because Wall Street was gambling with money it didn't have, and homeowners were taking out loans it couldn't afford. And so the answer is for government to pour $800 billion that it borrowed from China into the economy. It's not exactly intuitive. And then you have the Republicans making it sound like it's all condoms and Sodom the mall and and all kinds of ridiculousness. You have Democrats not defending it. You have the media talking about money going to phantom congressional districts and again, all kinds of ludicrousnous that was not reflected. It was the message.
Some of that happened, right? There were some congressional districts
those were typos. Those were typos. They were, people had put in the wrong information on there. And of course, because this was the most transparent federal spending in the history of our government, every time somebody makes a typo, it goes onto recovery.gov so that every investigative reporter in America can find it and make fun of it, which is a good thing in the long run. This is the reason why in the beginning the fraud experts were predicting that 5 to 7% of the stimulus would be stolen. And so far the actual fraud numbers are 0.01%. Because this is the most scrutinized federal money in history. You ask the guy who was supposed to oversee it, he said, you'd have to be an idiot to steal this money. Go steal some other money.